Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Corner Office. Some would say this is the best time of year. I'm like one of those guys. I'm super excited. The NBA is back. We're talking basketball today. We have George with us again.
Welcome on.
This is going to be a really fun episode. I'm super stoked for how this is going to go.
I've been looking forward to this shit all day.
Yeah,
It is.
It
is officially the beginning of the sports equinox.
Yeah, dude.
Huge. Alex, how many episodes a year do we open with? Some people call this the best time of the year.
A lot.
Probably 20.
All right, let's go through it right now. March Madness, the start of the NFL season.
Hockey playoffs. We said
Hockey playoffs, NBA playoffs, NBA finals, Olympics.
Correct. Probably Euros.
Yeah, we just like to.
I was about to say when Euros and Olympics overlapped for 3 days.
We definitely said that.
I mean, it's true though. Like I'm recency bias says that right now is the best time of year, you know? So I'm super excited. So we have an NBA preview coming up for you guys. A lot of differing fan opinions in this room right now. Obviously, we have the two teams who went to the finals last year, being the Mavericks, represented by our boy George here, and then, of course, the Celtics, represented by the homers, me and Jack. I've done a lot of Celtics defending this week, just because a lot of people have been throwing out Celtics Chiefs propaganda, and I hate it. And
it's just not the same.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
When you have the best starting five in the world, it's unarguable that if it's a close game in any situation, the Celtics have the hand 10 times out of 10.
So yeah. I made a list here. It says Celtics basketball is equivalent of the Chiefs, minus unlikable players, minus Taylor Swift, minus two podcasting brothers, minus unbelievable refs bias, minus a three-peat opportunity, minus Jackson Mahomes, minus Brittany Mahomes, minus players who beat their wives, minus players who beat their children, minus players who hit and run other cars on the highway, and a minus a bandwagon fan base. But if you take all those things
we do
out
have
of
the
equation,
bandwagon. We have the bandwagon fan base, and we have the ref bias. I'm going to correct you on those two.
We don't have the ref bias like that.
Yeah,
though.
And you have to add on Deuce Tatum.
We do have Deuce. No, we do have Deuce. Deuce and Jackson Mahomes. Deuce and Jackson Mahomes cancel out.
But if you take those things away, I guess we're a little like the Chiefs. Yeah, we win a lot of games. Let's start in the Eastern Conference. I feel like this is the easiest place to just, talk about teams here. Obviously, we have the Celtics. They should repeat as the winners of the Eastern Conference, in my opinion. I don't think that there is a team in the East that's really going to give them a run for their money on their day. You saw that 2 nights ago when they played the New York Knicks and basically beat them by 30 for the entire game. Nearly broke the NBA three-point record. I think we missed 13 threes in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Best moment of the game is there's Tillman Heaven, and it's the biggest brick of the game. It's the right side of the rim, and almost goes into this.
I wish we got that record so bad, too, because Joe Mazzulla pulled all the starters with like 7 minutes left, and he was like, all right. Peyton Pritchard, Luke Cornett, Sam Hauser missed a lot of threes.
Jordan Walsh.
Like
3 of them.
Drew Peterson, you didn't even suit up, but you're going to be the one who's going to break this record.
Yeah, you got it. You got it right now. For
NBA all history.
For a championship.
It's like when,
imagine if we broke the record, though, and like it was like on the B-roll of like all the threes that got hit, and then the record breaking was like
Xavier
J.D. Davidson.
Neemias Queta steps out to the corner for his first ever 3.
Yeah. That'd be great.
Yeah, but I mean,
get it.
No, we didn't. But we did come out and beat, and I know that it's like the first game of the season, and that this roster, like the Knicks roster, they're kind of learning how to play with each other because they, objectively speaking, lost their identity with the guys that they lost in free agency.
Mm-hmm.
But they are the favorites to beat us. They are the odds-on favorite to beat us, and we absolutely annihilated them. We're up 22 points at the end of the first quarter.
Halftime, I texted my dad, who was also watching the game, and I said, this does not say more about the Knicks. This says more about the Celtics. Every single team who comes out after winning a championship, as a Mavs fan, I'm saying this so emphatically, always, y'all need a little bit. The championship team needs a little
championship
bit. There was no little bit. There was no fatigue. Y'all went out there. Tatum, that was the best basketball I've seen Tatum play
in a while.
Since
before the playoffs.
Can I just say that step back? His step back jumper
He changed his release point.
Exactly. It's perfect. The flick is staying. Jaylen Brown played great. Derek White was amazing.
He's no longer
was amazing.
Jason Tatum is no longer doing the whole He's not doing the whole ball thing. He's now just and he's releasing from way up here, so contesting his shot is going to be so much harder. And another thing about Tatum is that he normally does not start the season scoring at all.
Correct.
He's off to a good start, and hopefully he can keep that up.
Let's talk about another jumper in this game. My boy Mikal Bridges out here.
Oh my God, it is so bad.
He had the ball in his hands.
At halftime, he made the fix though.
Dude, he switched back to his old jumper. Why? What was he doing in the summer? What was the game plan? They gave him the Markelle Fultz treatment. The guy could not shoot the ball without a hitch. And his shot started up here.
Yeah,
I think what he was looking at doing. Just if I'm looking at how his role at the Nets was, how his role on the Suns was.
Well, they're different roles.
Certainly,
different roles exactly. When he was on Villanova and with the Suns, he had the hitch. It just wasn't as much.
Yeah,
as we saw, and then with the Nets, he completely got rid of the hitch. He's taking it on his own now. He's 1-2 dribble pull up or isolation scoring. He needs to get back into the Suns form where he's catch and shoot, but he can also blow by a defender because they're not asking him to put up Julius Randle numbers.
That's his best role, right? Like in Brooklyn. Guy. Yeah, in Brooklyn, he was supposed to be someone who was going to go out there and get you 24 points a night, but that's just not his game.
Yep. And I will say, they are paying him a lot less than I thought they were. He's only on a $22 million contract, which is a lot, but we talk about the Hartenstein decision to go to OKC for $30 million a year. I think they're kind of getting a steal in him if he can be a consistent 12 to 15 point per game scorer. You know what I mean?
Well, but they did give up 5 first-round picks for him. That is the real bargaining point.
And he didn't
resign. 2 pick swaps but the addition of him isn't as great because you lose Hartenstein. And I think that is just a fact. Not addressing replacing him because Mitchell Robinson's the easier to replace.
Yep.
Because you can't rely on him as much. Hartenstein added the playmaking aspect, interior defense, the offensive rebounding, which made that team, if they didn't get so injured against the Pacers, I would have loved to see how it would have gone.
But that's $30 million a year.
Right, that's exactly why they got rid of him.
I know. But I don't think they were willing to pay him 24, 25.
He went right. That's exactly why. If they could have gotten rid of Mitchell Robinson and kept Hartenstein on a Mitchell Robinson deal, they would have 365 days out of the year, right? But they just couldn't do that. He wanted an unrealistic amount of money, and he went and got it from a team that is going to use his special set of values that he brings to a team, right? Yeah, that brings me to my next point, right? Sorry to cut you off.
No, go.
The Knicks, it is going to take them some time to figure out this team because what was their identity last year? They were a team that ran 7 guys, they rebounded the hell out of the ball, and they thrived on second chance, third chance opportunities. Yeah. Now they don't have anyone who's going to go do that. So they're going to rely on one trip or scoring on every trip that they can down the court and not getting those second chance points. So they have to reinvent their identity in order to be successful.
Yeah, but I just can't imagine that there was nobody better in free agency for cheaper that you could have as a secondary big than Jericho Sims. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He is undersized. They were playing undersized.
And they just looked clunky.
Yeah.
The lane was so clogged. They didn't stretch Cat out until the second quarter pause. And they didn't have the same, to Jack's point, presence on the interior. And frankly, they looked weaker on the exterior too. The only one who was making a bucket for himself all game, besides Jalen Brunson, my king, was Miles McBride. Miles McBride was
he looked really good.
He looked good.
I love him leading that second unit. And what I'm really interested in is I want to see them keep Mikal Bridges longer.
Yep.
No, pull him earlier in the first quarter and bring him on with the second unit. And him and McBride lead that second unit.
Well, so here's the thing, right? The Knicks had injuries. They had injuries to Precious Achiuwa and Mitchell Robinson. If, and this is a huge if all of their players are healthy, they are going to move away from the Tom Thibodeau play 7 guys for 44 minutes a game strategy. They are going to have you have to, because they proved that they couldn't win that way. It's not sustainable. they are going to have a clear-cut first and second unit. And their
Yep.
second unit is going to be led by Miles McBride, Cameron Payne, Precious Achua, and Mitchell Robinson. And then you can afford to keep one of those guys in for longer, right? You see what I mean?
Yep.
So now they are 10 guys deep rather than 7.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree. I think there will be a conversation, regardless of how this season goes for both teams, whether or not there was a lose-lose trade between Minnesota and New York. Because the other game that night was, I think we'll talk about Minnesota and the Lakers a little bit later. But like they both looked a bit out of sync, and I think that is natural, just considering the fact that you have new players on your roster.
And it's such a late trade in the offseason.
Correct.
You're halfway through training camp.
So I don't know like when this Knicks team is going to peak, and I don't know if they Cat had a lot more post ups than I was.
Just going to ask about that. What is his role on this team? Obviously, it's too early to know, but ideally, let me ask you guys, what should his role be on this Knicks team?
I mean, he's a 50, 40, 90 big. Like he's a guy who has had at the center position. He's one of the guys who has had, or maybe even a power forward. I don't know if you can consider him a true center. He's like one of the guys who's had one of the best outside presences in the entire NBA for multiple seasons. So like, I think having him be an inside out guy isn't really what you're looking for. I think you're supposed to have him be on the perimeter. Like that's where he's most comfortable.
But then who do you bring in to play the 5?
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. And on Alex's point, a lot of people used to say that he's kind of like a modern day Dirk. He can actually, he can move his feet like a young Dirk. He's not really that much of a clog in the paint defensively. And he's a lot better of a defensive player than he was in 2018. Last season, he showed if you put a competent defensive center next to him, he can be serviceable. To your point, Alex, I think what the Knicks are going to need him to do, because they have so many interior scorers, so many people who like to drive to the basket, they're going to have him be outside in. And this is a conflict of identities, because he really does get in his mojo playing in that high post or the low block, getting a couple fadeaways, spinning to the basket, getting an easy lay, and then building out. And once he's got the out, then it's his X Factor mode. And he's, I think, one of the 10 most unstoppable players as a scorer in the league. Now, I know that's a hot take, but with his size and shooting ability, I think he has the versatility to elevate this Knicks team, not necessarily to the Celtics level, but to a Nuggets level of, okay, now we're talking about contention.
I was just going to bring up the Nuggets. Sorry to cut you off again, but
no. That was the finishing.
I think that if you look at another team that's comparable in terms of roster buildup, where you have a ball dominant guard and you have a ball dominant center who both need to, they should be taking a page out of Michael Malone's book and running their offense in a similar way to the Nuggets, because they have the same buildup where they have ball dominant guard, ball dominant center, and then 3 guys off the ball who like to score as a secondary option.
And to that point, people forget that Cat is a playmaker. Cat can dish that dime.
Yeah.
They didn't use it as much last year, and I think that's more on Chris Finch's fault than anyone. Offensively, I thought the Timberwolves could have been good enough to honestly get past my Mavs, but I don't think they were coached well enough on offensively. That's an ulterior point.
Yep.
But I agree. I think the Knicks have the versatility to throw so many different sets at so many different teams. But the question is it enough to counteract how good Boston is at it? Because I'm going to be honest, Joe Mazzulla might be one of the 5 best basketball minds I've ever seen coach. Period.
I mean, yeah, he has a lot of pieces to play with. You know what I mean? Like, it's really hard to be bad with the amount of players that the Celtics have and have kept on the roster. You know what I mean? And look, if they're playing to their caliber, there is not a team in the NBA that can beat them. Like, there were like 7 straight possessions where I saw Jalen Brunson go down and like get a bucket, and then they were losing by more after those 7 possessions. You know what I mean? Like, that's like how that's how like the level of the game right now. Like, if
and it's the entire rest of the NBA's fault. It's the entire rest of the NBA's fault for provoking our 2-star players to come into the season with a chip on their shoulder. They were both disrespected this offseason by the same people, and they came in wanting nothing but to prove a point. And that's incredibly dangerous when you have a team this good.
I agree. So I think that we can all consensusly say that we think that the Celtics will be number 1 in the East. I think from what I'm hearing, we're going.
If we're talking expectations, anything less than a championship is a disappointment for the Celtics at this point.
I think they're looking to get 70 wins. Like, I think 70 wins is the goal this year.
65 plus.
65. Yeah, I was going to say 65.
65 plus. Be one of the 5-10 greatest teams of all time, and get it done. Get it done in May, in June, in April. I think the Celtics' biggest challenge really won't come until the first round. I know that's every year for y'all, whether it's Miami or the East is loaded now. The East has got depth.
Miami, maybe Orlando, Cleveland.
The East has depth, right? But the East has had the same amount of depth for X amount of years now, right?
I agree.
And now the Celtics know what it takes to win a championship. They've seen the blueprint. It's incredibly dangerous for the rest of the league.
So then the other factor, injury bug.
Yep.
Because I think even more impressively, y'all did Tuesday night without KP.
Yep.
And starting Luke, excuse my French, fucking Cornette.
Did he start the game? I thought Al
started.
Al
Horford started. Al started.
Oh, he
Al
did?
started.
Yeah, I think Al started, but
I didn't tune in until
Cornette and Tillman both played a lot of minutes. I actually have a glass half full take on the Celtics depth right now. Yeah. I think that Kristaps Porzingis not playing for the first 3 months of the season is going to be incredibly useful for the development of Xavier Tillman and Luke Cornette. Last year, they were guys who came in and it was like, we just got to get through this period until they're done. I think that you could see them come in and be actually useful on the basketball court by the end of this year.
Xavier Tillman's a legitimate NBA player.
He's Al Horford light.
He is.
Yes. He is Al Horford, but 5 inches shorter.
Yeah.
I swear to God,
he's not as big.
He is a crisp 6'7".
Yeah.
Is he actually? He's 6'7".
He's not that big. He's not that big. You see him and you're like,
he plays so much bigger.
Another guy like that, just completely off topic. Kai Jones, I thought was like a 7-footer, and I saw him play last night, and I was like, that guy is 6'8", like at the maximum. That is as big as that guy is. But yeah, so to reiterate, I think we all have the Celtics.
Oh, he's 6'11".
Is he?
Kai Jones is 6'11", but I know what you mean.
He looks way smaller.
It's the hair.
It's got to be something with that.
He has a very slender frame. Like, he's not a guy who's going to go bang on the low post.
Dude, I just
what? Go ahead. No, go.
Slender frame made me think of Jabari Smith, and I had a point for him. But
we'll get there.
Write it down.
We'll get there
when we talk West.
Yeah, we'll talk West in a minute. I think so. Celtics at 1, then in the East. I think the question between 2 is between the Bucks.
I think we have to separate. I think we have to separate it into Celtics, contenders, playoff teams, play-in teams, flag.
Jack and I were talking this before. I think contenders. So Celtics contenders are 76ers, Bucks, Knicks.
Yes,
you could throw Orlando in there if they really make that jump.
For right now, they are not.
I don't think they're there yet.
I would put them in playoff threat tier. For one of those 4 teams, you don't want to face. If you're the Knicks, Celtics, Bucks.
I think that the Magic win.
Sixers.
I think the Magic win in the first round this year, regardless. Unless it's the Celtics, I think they win in the first round.
I think you want absolutely nothing to do with Paolo Banchero if you're any other NBA team right now.
They did nothing but get better. The pieces that they added, they got so much better this year. Yeah, and another year of development is huge.
Dude, and I'm telling you, they locked their guys up on good deals. Jalen sucks for $30 million a year.
I agree.
Right now, I don't like that. In 2 years, I'm gonna love that, baby.
Yeah,
because the cap is only going up. The value that you could give a player right now is only going up.
It's a great point.
I think he is offensively raw. Defensively, I would say the best guard point of attack defender in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Now that could be argued. Obviously, Drew's up there. Caruso is there. I mean, it's them 3. But Suggs is 22, 23, 24.
He's at the maximum 25 years old. Yeah.
And I mean, their starting 5 is all besides KCP, all under 20.
An underrated move, though, like I was going to say, is the move for KCP, because one of the issues that they had last year was three-point shooting, and now you add one of the premier three-point shooters in the league to space it out.
He's also won 2 NBA championships.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Won 2 NBA championships, where, in my opinion, Nuggets were the favorite that year. Lakers were not the favorite, and he was crucial on both teams.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah, I don't think I think Orlando is getting scary better. I don't think there's a ton to say about this Bucks team other than if they're healthy, they're good, and if they're not, they're bad. Don't even get me
started on Giannis.
Really?
If they're healthy, they're
love Giannis.
I love Giannis. I think everybody loves Giannis a little bit.
I love Giannis until we have to play him, and then he is my least favorite player on the planet.
Exactly.
He is so hard to watch when you're playing against him.
Yeah. I mean, I think when it comes to the Bucks, they did what they shouldn't have done this summer. They went out and they got I love the shooting help. If this was a Budenholzer team, I'm going to say that they're going to win 60 games in the regular season. They're not a Budenholzer team anymore. You have to have shooting around Giannis.
They had shooting help last year.
And they need the perimeter defenders. They are so weak. They are so weak at guarding the three-point shot. You're going to throw out Dame, Gary Trent Jr., Torian Prince as your best. I mean, unless I'm forgetting somebody. Do they still have no Malik Beasley left? He's on the Pistons, right?
He's gone. On Detroit. They lost him. So you're looking to pick up minutes from Marjon Beauchamp or like Andre Jackson down the line or something like that.
I like Andre Jackson. Can't lie.
Yeah.
But I don't like him enough when you have to put him on, I don't know, Mikal Bridges or got to put him on Kelly Oubre
or Jaylen Brown.
Dude, I wasn't even.
That's barbecue chicken.
I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't go there yet. Yams, collard greens,
cornbread, oxtail.
So I don't know. I don't know if they did enough, but like, dude, having a 1-2 punch of Giannis and Damian Lillard is pretty crazy. That being said, they do have the coaching 1-2 punch of Doc Rivers and Darvin Ham, which is, more of a self punch than anything else.
But they have to stay healthy, right?
Yes.
They are only 7 guys deep.
Yeah.
They have to stay healthy.
Oh, I forgot about Bobby Portis. My bad.
So George and I were talking. I think that
huge, dude.
I think that the Magic are in that. I think the Magic are in that range. They are the one team who, in my opinion, could sneak into the top 4 because, we saw it last year with the Sixers. They completely imploded. They were like the 8 seed or the 7 seed, right? So one of those, I think that one of either the Knicks, Bucks, or 76ers will have a tough time getting into that top 4 echelon, and they will be battling it out with the Magic for home court advantage in the first round.
Again, with the Sixers, it's the same thing, right? Like, your health is going to be your biggest, priority going forward.
They are so top-heavy in their lineup.
But that being said, it's great to see the dancing bear back in the NBA. I love me some Gershon Yabusele. This is good for them.
He had a great game last night.
Of course he did. He's good at basketball. He's good.
Let me pull up the roster to make sure that
getting Caleb Martin was huge for them.
I don't disagree. I think you're expecting Tyrese Maxey to have another borderline all-star season.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, I think McCain's going to be good for them.
Yes. They have Reggie Jackson, Kyle Lowry. They're kind of weak at the 2. Eric Gordon. I don't particularly dislike or like.
I just don't
Ricky
think we
Council.
know. I don't think we know what we're getting with this Sixers team yet. I think that they're kind of.
Well, I think you know what you get when Joel plays. Right. I think they're a contending team when Joel plays, but he's only going to play like 40 games this season.
It's huge.
What's the story there? So his health is clearly a concern. Paul George's health is always a concern.
It's a concern. I like the was Cody Martin or is it Caleb Martin? I like the Caleb Martin move. Yabusele was a good move. They made good moves, but is it that next tier move? Bringing back Oubre is a good move.
Agreed.
I thought he was great for them, and I mean he's been great honestly since Phoenix. He's been great.
Yeah.
I think they are the odd man out in my mind.
Okay.
Regular season.
I would agree.
I think not having Joel Embiid play back-to-backs means you're suffering losses to teams you should beat. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that that's simply put how it's going to be. You know, and look, if that's going to push you towards playoff success, like, I understand the move. You know what I mean? Like, you want to keep your guys healthy when it matters most. But, like, when you're playing multiple road games in a playoff series because you can't get home court advantage, like, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean,
so I don't know what they prioritize.
If we're looking at teams that are in that kind of playoff like play, I think that it is clearly Celtics 1, those 3 teams as filling the 2 to 4, Orlando Magic, Cleveland Cavaliers, the other 6 teams or the other 9 teams. Who knows?
Pacers.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Pacers too.
Yeah, Pacers are in there.
So that fills our too. Yeah. So it's Cavs, Magic, and Pacers fills our middle column, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Then you are left with another
Pistons,
8 teams.
Hawks,
8 teams, and
Bulls.
it's a complete toss up. I have a hot take. If we're going to take 4 teams that are going to make the play in this year, I think it is Heat. I think it is Chicago Bulls. I think that it is the Atlanta Hawks, and I think that it's the Detroit Pistons.
Okay, so I like every single one of those.
7 through 10.
Yeah, to be 7 through 10.
Well, then we're leaving out Cleveland, Orlando.
No. Cleveland, Orlando. They were in there. They're in.
They're in. We're saying
Cleveland, Orlando, Indiana. They're in.
We're saying the Celtics are in. The Knicks are in. The Sixers are in. Bucks are in. Pacers, Orlando, Cleveland.
And then my 4 picks that I think will be competing for the play-in teams.
You need 3
Oh,
picks.
competing! I thought you were saying locked in.
Yeah, competing for the play-in.
No.
I need 3 more teams.
Well, you have 3 spots for 8 seed play-in.
Okay, I think it's Hawks. No, I'm sorry. I think it's Bulls, Heat, and Pistons. Those are my 3 teams.
I think it's. I like your Pistons take a lot, actually. I think
like
they're going to be a lot better.
They looked very good last night.
I think the Raptors sneak in the play-in this year.
I think they're definitely in the I think they're definitely in the conversation.
Oh my god, this is so
I
tough.
don't think it's in their best interest to, but I think that they're probably in the conversation.
I think the Hornets are okay.
What are the Raptors' direction? Because is it
the Raptors and the Hornets?
Play-in?
Raptors and the Hornets are in a very similar spot right now, as are the Detroit Pistons.
I lean going no Bulls. I think the Bulls are actually.
I think no Bulls as well.
I think the Bulls are moving on from being mediocre. I think
LaVine will be off the squad. I think LaVine will be gone by
I did forget that DeMar was gone. I'm going to put my hand up there. I did forget DeMar was gone.
LaVine and Vucevic need to go. They like that is old news that did not work. Lonzo needs to stay. I'm the biggest Lonzo fan there is.
Yeah, I'm big on Lonzo as well. Yeah,
God loves Lonzo, bro. Jesus wrote in his Bible that he loves Lonzo. He predicted this. But I think I would go Pistons, Hornets, and for respect, I'm going to go Heat, but I really don't respect it.
Look, LaMelo Ball has to be healthy in order for the Hornets to make it.
If he's not healthy, they're not winning.
He is an incredible player.
Yeah, they're not winning if he's not.
Cards on the table.
He has horrendous PR training, but
that is also correct. Which is shocking. Which is shocking because he's been in front of a camera since he was 12 years old.
I know, it is kind of crazy. But yeah,
what's LiAngelo up to?
Okay, stealing.
Yeah, China.
He's in China stealing shit.
Stealing some shit. China. I'd like to get your take on the Pistons, though, really quickly before we move on to the Western Conference. I think that this is a team that has, like, obviously they were the laughingstock of the NBA last year. They lost 20-something games in a row. You know, you move on from Monty Williams as your head coach, which I think is, after you dedicate so much money to him, it's probably a good move to get off of, like, you know, him being your head coach. But that being said, you're still like now in an interesting spot. But you have a lot of young pieces that are like seemingly trending upwards. They were leading a lot of this game against the Pacers the other night. Look, last season it was all Cade Cunningham. He is going to need some help to continue to be a really good player. You know what I mean?
But I think he got it.
I think they had the most underrated offseason.
I think the Tobias Harris move is a great move for them.
Yeah. So all right. So here's my take. You asked for the take. You asked for the take on the Pacers, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, on the Pistons.
The Pistons. Yeah.
The Pistons. First off, on the Tobias Harris point, he had 13 points in the first half. He did not score a single point in the second half. Tobias Harris is the same player that he was on the Sixers. Let's get that out right now. Same guy.
Yep.
I think you're right about Cade Cunningham. They realized that they have to build around Cade Cunningham and add a veteran presence to this team that was full of young guys, because they had nothing but young guys and no veterans in the locker room to kind of show them how to be an NBA player, right?
Yep.
So they add guys like Tim Hardaway, Malik Beasley, Tobias Harris that they now bring into the locker room.
Yep.
That doesn't just add them depth, but it also, Paul Reed, right? It also adds just like a new kind of player that they have. So now they have a more balanced roster, like an actual identity, which is they are playing around Cade Cunningham, and like Jalen Duren is the center. He is going to be a 1-to-1 rebound to point ratio.
Yeah.
They are going to build around Cade, and then they have a bunch of guys whose job is to score the basketball when it is passed to them. And I think that is exactly what they needed. And I'm not saying that they're going to be great, but I think that instead of being the worst team in the NBA, they're going to be in the play-in conversation.
Trending upward. I like the Ron Holland draft pick a lot for them.
Me too.
Right? Like out of the Ignite, he was probably the best player in the Ignite League, on that team that was like a rookie doing that type of thing. They still have a Thompson twin floating around somewhere. I don't know if he played the other night or not.
I don't think he did.
I don't.
Reggie Jackson is a huge pickup. Or is he on the Sixers? He's on the Sixers. My fault.
But they have
Asar Thompson is hurt.
He is. All right. So Tim Hardaway is an interesting one.
Sure.
Yeah. Marcus Sasser, sure.
The thing I like about them and what they've done over the last 12 months, they cleared up the front court. Remember when they had Bagley, Stewart, they still have Stewart,
Wiseman,
and Duren all fighting and they had Wiseman. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Right. All fighting for center minutes. And they chose the two best out of them, in my opinion, with Stewart and Duren. And they said anyone who doesn't want to play, shoot and play the four. But Paul Reed can stretch it a little bit.
Yeah.
I would be fine with him sitting in the corner. They want shooters around Cade and Duren because that pick and roll will draw so much more attention than think the casual and regular NBA fan realizes right now. Duren will average 16 and 12.
Mm-hmm.
He is him. He is the sim god. If you don't know what that reference is, in 2K, he always averages 18 and 12 every sim.
He last year was leading the NBA in rebounds per game until he got injured, right? Like he is a big man's big man.
And you forget that he's young as well. Like he reclassed up to get into the NBA draft, and then he's only 21 years old.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like he's in a good spot to take a jump this year. I wouldn't be shocked if you see him in most improved categories for going forward this year. But I think that wraps it up for the East, right?
I would agree.
I had one more thing that I wrote down. It's
quick along
these lines for most improved player in the East. The reason I'm so low on the Cavs is because they had one objective this summer. It was get more shooting and clear up the front court. They didn't really do either of those things.
Yep.
Evan Mobley is such a good basketball player. I think he's one of the premier big men in the NBA, and he should not have to split the floor like he does with Jared Allen.
Mm.
Jared Allen has got to go. I love Jared Allen. Fun fact,
Jared Allen's a very solid big man.
There's a lot of places where he could be utilized that is not Cleveland, and he has a ton of value to him. He has a ton of value.
Send him to the Lakers. On the Knicks.
Or the Knicks.
That's a good shout. I hadn't even thought of that.
For the Knicks?
Yeah.
Dude.
He probably falls into that conversation of guys that aren't around by All-Star break. He's probably gone at the deadline.
I agree. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, I think his value is a valuable player and a first-round pick. Yep. Because just of how badly Cleveland needs to clear it up. Because it's also clogging up lanes for Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. Also, it was great to see Darius Garland smile again. Because last season was rough.
I'm happy that he's loving basketball.
So good at basketball.
He's really so good. He's really good at basketball. All right, so let's wrap it up here. We got Celtics at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have any mix of the Bucks, the Knicks, the Sixers, and the Magic.
Correct.
Then that third tier That third tier, to me, it sounds like we have the Pacers.
And Cavs.
Yep, Pacers and Cavs, I would say, is
Pacers,
a clear third
Cavs
tier.
is probably the third tier. And then the fourth tier, you got the Pistons, the Heat, the Raptors. Literally everyone except for the Wizards and the Nets are kind of in that mix of trying to fight for a play-in spot right now in the Eastern Conference. Let's ship it over to the West. This, to me, is always the most interesting conference in basketball. Obviously, we're going to get George's take here, being the Mavs fan on the show right now. I think that the East has gotten a bit stronger, but I think the West is just such a shootout year in and year out, and I don't think that's changed at all.
So you and I multiple times this summer, Alex, talked about how in our eyes, there could be any one of these West teams in the playoffs. There is not a clear team that is going to, I mean, you could argue the Blazers, but even if they have their stuff together, they could be competing for a play-in spot. Any team can beat any team on any night. So it's going to be a great season to watch.
And they've only continued to get better. Like, look, I think the upper echelon of the Western Conference is always right now going to probably be between the Nuggets, the Thunder,
and the Timberwolves.
The T-Wolves. No. I don't even know if I would say the T-Wolves right now.
I think it's those two. I think it's those two at the top. I think we have to, first of all, I think our ranking has to be different for this conference than it does for the other ones. I think that we have
I agree.
Upper echelon, second tier, third tier, and then everyone else, because anyone else could make the play-in, right?
Yeah.
So I think that our upper echelon is the Nuggets and it is Oklahoma City. And then I think second
those
tier,
two teams are a lock to be a top 4 seed.
It's Dallas, and I think that it is Minnesota.
Yeah. Okay. And
I mean, if you think through it, it's just hard to separate some of these teams. Because my heart actually wants to go Phoenix as much as my daddy Luka Doncic owns Devin Booker. Phoenix got a lot better this summer.
They did.
With Bud, they will be a good regular season team. I mean, it was preseason, but they were moving off the ball. I don't think I saw any ulterior action last year besides for who was touching the basket.
I have a hot take. I think that Devin Booker is going to play not the same that he did for USA Basketball, but I think he's going to take a step back and share the ball a little bit more. If you look at it literally, he shot very well percentage-wise and didn't take a ton of shots.
He took 9 shots in game 1.
That's not enough for a guy like him.
Tyus Jones.
Mm-hmm.
No. Once they...
Tyus Jones had 8 assists, no turnovers. He has the highest assist-to-turnover ratio in the NBA for the last 5 seasons. He's a huge pickup for them. And it was their biggest problem. They haven't had a real point guard since Chris Paul.
Grizzlies are in this tier.
If Ja's healthy, which is a big if, in my opinion.
I don't think you can put a team in there based on a huge if.
I think they're below. I agree. I think they're below. Let's take it one team at a time, though. I think the Thunder is the logical first step.
Yes.
I agree.
The repeating number 1 seed, a team that somehow may end up with Cooper Flagg.
Got better from
their moves, has a returning MVP candidate in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Did they pay Hartenstein too much? Yes. Does he address the issues that they had at the 5? I think so.
And what else do they have to spend their money on?
Yeah.
I mean, they did exactly what they had to.
Yeah.
If you look at it money and contract wise, when this wraps up, they pay Chet and they pay Jay Will. It literally lines up perfectly. They've already paid Isaiah Joe. They've paid Wiggins. Dort is paid. Caruso is paid.
Yep.
All of their guys are locked up, and they have the most draft capital in the league. You could add the second and the third most in terms of draft capital teams in the league, and they still don't add up to number 1, which is the Thunder. And they have a legitimate shot to give the Celtics a run for their money. And they get some experience.
They are going to have to pay Shai the Supermax after this season.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
Give him the keys to the city of Oklahoma City.
You have to give him everything that you have.
Yep.
He has saved them from what could have been a very, very dark age.
You have potentially the best defensive backcourt in the NBA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to average 5 steals combined.
You have
if not
Lou
more.
Dort, Alex Caruso, Cason Wallace, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Like, that is 4 deep.
Those are all four of top 15 guys, in my opinion.
Yeah.
4 of top 20.
I think anything less than a Western Conference Finals appearance for this team is
failure.
It's failure. It's complete failure.
And it is, but I will say this: for how young they are, this is the other mind-boggling thing. If they fail now,
it doesn't
that
matter.
is so okay.
Yeah,
this
it doesn't
is
mean anything.
experience. This is part of their portfolio. I mean, they got mollywopped by my Mavs.
I will say they have to improve on last year.
Mm-hmm.
And they will. I mean, Jay Will is only going to get better. Chet is only going to get better. I mean, I think Sam Presti combined with Dagenau.
Mike Dagenau,
yeah.
Dagenau, yeah.
I mean, that's just, they are, you can tell by how this team is made, they are working together in tandem.
Yeah.
Top to bottom, this is perfectly made.
Yep. And they have arguably like the closest core of guys in the NBA. Like they have the best. Yes. They probably have the best locker room in the NBA too, because all these guys have become adults together.
Yeah.
So it's a scary situation in OKC. I see them being a top 2 seed in the West. The next team is obviously the MVP led Denver Nuggets. I think this team got worse, like very minusculely, but I also think that like they're so good. You know what I mean? Like it's so hard to count this team out, especially when you have a guy like Nikola Jokic at the helm. Losing KCP is going to be an issue for them, but I honestly don't necessarily hate the addition of Russell Westbrook. They add Dario Saric, unless he was there last year. I can't really remember.
So George and I had a conversation last weekend about the Russell Westbrook addition, and the conclusion that we came to was if this Nuggets team is going to be better or the same than they were last year, Russell Westbrook has to reinvent himself as a player in terms of finding a new role. Because if he plays with the role that we think of him as and takes 11, 12 shots a game, they are not going to be good. And they do not have the dynamic for that in the way that their roster is constructed.
I don't
he
disagree.
Needs to completely reinvent the way that he plays basketball.
Did you watch, because Jack, after we had that conversation, I tuned into the next preseason game for the Nuggets. And what we both talked about, which was Russell Westbrook playing in the dunker spot role, happened. The Jokic to Westbrook pick and roll, Westbrook setting the screen, was so effective because Russell Westbrook might be the fastest roller in the NBA, and he can get up. Jokic just throws a bounce pass. I don't know how this wasn't on Sports Center. He catches it, elevates, and Westbrook yams it. I mean, it's just, you finally have cover for if Aaron Gordon needs a break.
Yeah.
Which they haven't had. They've been playing Pin Watson in that role. And that's not his role. Pin Watson's role is come in and be your 3-and-D guy to replace MPJ. I don't know how I feel about moving Christian Braun to replace KCP. That's my only hesitation with this team.
I'm actually okay with that. I will say, back to the Russell Westbrook point, we did talk about him doing that, right? We talked about him becoming that dunker roll spot. And he did it for one game. And to his credit, he shot 80% from the field, right? He was 5 for 7. That is the one instance that I've seen of him playing that way. He has to continue to just do they have to say, Russell Westbrook, this is what you're going to do, and he has to do it. Because if he reverts to his old ways and tries to be the leader at all times, he will be gone by the trade deadline. Okay, but if he can find a way to be effective for this team, he's going to be the X factor that takes them from being fine to being championship contenders.
Yeah, I don't think that there's a better description of a $30 million player in the NBA right now than Aaron Gordon. I think that he is the complete difference maker for this team. When he's on defensively and offensively, when he's playing the way that he has played, especially in the playoffs this year, the way that he played, when you see like KCP took a step back. Jamal Murray was really bad in these playoffs, aside from the Lakers series.
I don't think we'll see it again.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I have that faith, but I also have the accountability to say, because I did have this conversation with Jack in May, that it has happened before. He has gone silent, and he has kind of put up stinkers. But
he's a very hot and cold guy.
Yeah.
I'd love to see something in the regular season that we haven't seen before, which is him maybe elevating a little bit, and maybe it's a little bit more of him, less. I just want to see more volume. So
but I also
time.
I just don't think he needs. I don't think he needs to be the guy with this team to go out there and score 25. I think you're okay with him scoring 16 to 18 points a game. But also, if he's,
I love 18, 20.
If he has 9 assists, you're fine with it.
And I also think that this team is built around a superstar caliber player. like there won't be another All-Star on the Nuggets team. There just isn't a player with that type of star caliber. You know what I mean? Which is crazy to think about in a league where, you know, you're built on your star players, like a team that rolls like with 4 guys deep that average 15 a game. You know what I mean? Like that's not something that you see often, you know, and that's one of their biggest strengths is that anybody can go out on any given night and give you 30. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't see Jamal Murray really taking a step in the regular season, but like he was Mr. Playoffs 2 years ago when they won the championship. Like if they're going to do that again, they need him to be that type of guy.
2020 Western Conference Finals. He was Mr. Playoffs. You remember him versus Donovan Mitchell? That fed families during COVID.
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
Those were crazy days.
Yeah. And then tier below that, we go.
So you have
Mavs,
OKC and the Nuggets. We expect to be 1 and 2. Let's talk about the Mavericks because obviously we want to get your take on a lot of this type of stuff. Being the homer, I think everybody expects Luka to do Luka things. He will also be a top 3 player in MVP voting coming up this season. But I'd just like to get your take as to what you think this team is going to look like and what are the things that they have done to improve themselves going into the next season, or if you see them regressing.
So, in terms of getting over the hump in the West again, I think they are more primed than they were last year to do it again.
Okay.
I completely disagree.
In terms of getting past the Celtics, they did not accomplish the goal, which is if you want to get out of the West, you got to get a combination of more scoring and more point of attack defending, or at least just better.
Yep.
He's Derrick Jones Jr., as great of a player as he is, and DJJ, I love him. He's a great defender. He really was. He did a great job all playoffs. He is not, you can't rely on him to consistently hit the corner 3.
Yeah.
And that's not even asking that much.
You can't rely on PJ Washington either.
And I agree. But PJ Washington is a more valuable defender, in my opinion. He can
So what do you think?
I think the Mavs messed up by not getting Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, that next level of echelon 3 and D guys.
Yeah.
I love Najee Marshall. He was a great pickup. 3 years, $27 million. Chef's kiss. Klay Thompson does not and cannot move his feet. We will see this in the regular season and big games. He will not be on the floor in the last 4 minutes.
Yeah,
I just don't think he'll be that good this year.
I think he'll average 17 points a game, and we might be the second best offense in the NBA. But if Klay plays 28 minutes a night. But if that happens, then we're going to be the 12th, 13th best defense in the league. Versus what could happen, which is Klay Thompson being the 6th man, Najee starting, and we got Quentin Grimes, and we got. I liked a lot of our pickups. We did good with
Jaden Hardy
getting that extension too. I was telling Jack about this. 3 years, $18 million. He will take that next step. I love that deal. Bringing back Spencer Dinwiddie, Dante Exum will be healthy in 2 to 3 months. He was horrible in the playoffs, but great in the regular season. Lively's going to take that jump. Lively, I'm telling you, 14 and 12, 3 or 4 assists. He is so much better with the ball in his hands than he was last season. And I know it's just preseason, and I'm not going off that clip where he takes it coast to coast.
So he
was the number 1 player in high school for a reason.
I'm going to agree with you partially, and I'm going to disagree with you partially. I like the Derek Lively take. He is a guy who you need to watch his injury concerns just throughout the season, which is why you have guys like, Gafford and Powell and Kleber, right?
Yeah.
So,
Time Lord.
So don't call him that. He's not the Time Lord.
No, that's it. That's the
seriously. You're coming on my show. Don't do that. Don't call him that.
You're not going to do that.
Oh, I forgot. Rob Williams.
Yeah.
My bad.
So
he's Big Dan Dan.
There you go. That's a horrible nickname, but you can have that one. So I'm going to agree with part of what you said. You said that they are better primed to make a run this year. I agree that their roster construction is better than it was last year. However, I don't think that they will get there because I don't see any team in this Western Conference making it out 2 years in a row. It's too competitive. I don't think that they will. I think that they got hot at the right time last year.
Yeah, I agree.
And that they also had a lot of things fall in their direction on their way towards the NBA Finals. I don't necessarily think that that happens again. And I think that they'll be great. I think that they'll be a top 4 team. And I think that they could be in any part of that top 4. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they were 1 or 4, right? But I just don't see that come playoff time, they pull it all together and have things fall their way in order to run it back again this year. And even if they do, I don't think that they even compete with the Celtics or whoever makes it out of the East, right?
I agree. No, I'm not disagreeing with you on that. And I'm actually going to play even more devil's advocate against my dearly beloved, glorious Mavs and say that you can't win in the playoffs with two average to subpar defenders starting and playing legitimate minutes. When you have three, then how good is your offense? Because offense really doesn't win championships.
Yeah,
I mean,
you got real problems.
Feasted on Luka in the finals. We feasted on him.
And you would have loved to have seen some offseason improvement, I think, if you're a Mavs fan, and I just don't think you saw it. You know what I mean?
He cares.
Well, he's such a good offensive player.
Luka, I know we say this every single year, but Luka's actually in somewhat decent shape to start this season.
Yeah.
He looks fit.
It's not about that, though. It's not about that. It's not about his fitness.
I know. It was about his fitness, though. He was dealing with like 15 injuries.
Yeah, you're right.
That like, and he does buy in on defense sometimes. The big jump for him, if we can get him to be, I'm going to buy in 75% of the time instead of 30, that completely changes the way I look at this Mavs team in the West.
Yeah.
Doesn't change how I look at it against the Celtics. Changes it how I look against the West. Because then you're looking at, like, Kyrie was actually an above-average defender last year. Can he put it up again at 33? We'll see. I don't like banking on that. Do you like a 33-year-old Klay Thompson to come out and be not a horrible defender? I don't know. We'll see. I think Jason Kidd is one of the premier defensive coaches in the league. Offensively, he is not, but that's where I trust Luka and Kyrie to do some magic. And Klay coming off the D-Live and Luka screen, I'm excited to see what they do. With as much excitement as I have the same nerves and anxiety that, Jack, you are pointing at, which is, and Alex too, how much better did we really get?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you guys are going to miss Derek Jones Jr., but I don't think you could have afforded to keep him.
I don't think we'll miss him as much because I used to think that too. I love Najee Marshall. I think Najee Marshall is primed to be.
That's another thing. That's another thing you're banking on, though, right? You're banking on him taking a step.
I'm banking on him doing what he's done for the last 3 years, which I did not know this. He's averaged 9 points on 47, 40, and 81 for.
That's pretty good.
3 straight years.
Yeah, that's pretty good numbers.
It's between 7 and 9.
Okay.
He's going to get the most open looks of his life. Everyone always says this. You do not play better offensively than you do next to Luka Doncic if you're a role player. He has that LeBron.
Definitely correct. That is definitely true.
Like, we saw this with Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie fell off a cliff once he left.
Yeah.
I mean, I think offensively we've taken a jump. But that's not where we needed to take the jump.
Right, but do you think that, so like, that's exactly the conversation. You guys took a jump offensively, but you also fell significantly backwards defensively. And do you think that falling that far back defensively was worth getting marginally better on offense?
No, I really don't. I think Nico Harrison did the best with what he had, though.
Fair.
Because I don't think we had the assets to make the move that we needed to make.
Yeah. All right, let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk Timberwolves. The other team that's in that second echelon. What do we have with them? What are we going to get?
Let me go first here. I watched the game the other night between the T-Wolves and the Lakers. Another sneaky team that I think could crack the top 5 this year regarding health would be the Lakers. We're going to talk about them later. But I'm going to be 100% honest with you. This Timberwolves team is not the same team that they were last year. Defensively, they are way worse. Offensively, they are way worse. I think the additions of Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo did not help them. I think the reason that they traded Cat was in order to get off of having to pay him because you're going to have to pay Anthony Edwards at some point. I think they actually just did. But that being said, like Rudy Gobert looks lost right now. I don't think that he's going to be in conversation for Defensive Player of the Year again. But that being said, like it starts to me with Julius Randle. I don't think that he fits the pace of play that this Minnesota Timberwolves team wants to play. And you saw it when they played the Lakers. Like he is a guy who plays in like the -5 percentile when it comes to pace of play. Like he's one of the slowest players in the league. And last year this Timberwolves team made their name off of getting stops, getting out, dishing out to Naz Reid in the top, Anthony Edwards getting downhill, like making sure that they were in the top 10 percentile of speed. And that difference there has really hurt them. I think Dante DiVincenzo is going to be a 10 to 12 point per game scorer this year. Jack thinks he's going to take a jump. I don't see it, in my opinion. I think he's going to be relatively the same player he has been the past couple of years, aside from when they played the Knicks. He'll be their seventh man. You know what I mean? So I think that it's one of the weirdest rosters in the NBA because I just don't know what you do with a guy like Julius Randle. Obviously, he is a really talented player, but he doesn't fit the style of play that they want. And the best thing about this T-Wolves team last year was their defensive intensity, and it was not there. It was not there.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump in real quick. I agree with a lot of what you said. I think that really one of the biggest issues that the Timberwolves had offensively last year was their 1-2 punch of the big men. It was their question going in, and it was good at times, but it was also really inefficient at times. And I think that with this Julius Randle move, you keep the same scheme offensively. You just do it with a worse player in Julius Randle. So you downgrade it. You kept the same offense that was objectively unproductive, and you just replaced Cat, who is loved by your fans, with a player that is not as good at doing what he does. So where do you go from here if you're the Wolves? Where did they get better? Because they definitely got worse in spots.
Y'all hit the nail in the coffin. I don't know what you do with Julius Randle because he is not Cat. I think he has playmaking abilities like Cat. He is not the shooter that Cat is. He does not provide offensively what they need. They did not take a jump offensively. I think depth-wise, they actually got worse. Losing Kyle Anderson was a lot bigger of a move than people think. Slow-Mo gets a lot of hate, but Slow-Mo is a really good defender. I mean, the only way I see it going is next summer, Gobert, Randall, they're both gone. Because what they're going to try and make way for, the reason they drafted Rob Dillingham, which I love that move, is Conley's going to play 1 or 2 more seasons. And then Dillingham's going to take that step and be that point guard. I like that. And I like DiVincenzo being your sixth man. And I think he probably won't take the jump up
Do you think he's going to be the sixth man over Naz, or you think Naz gets in the start?
I forgot about my glorious king like that for a second.
Naz is the sixth man.
I think Naz is the sixth.
Naz is the sixth man, but he's the first. I mean, that's like, if we're talking about 6 and 7
it's relatively similar, yeah.
And we're talking about 2 guys who are going to get 28 minutes a night and be. I mean, Naz, I think, will average 15 a game, and I think DiVincenzo could be around 14, 13, 15, and be just solid combo guard action with Ant, without Ant. I'd like to see Naz start, but obviously that would only happen if Gobert gets injured or Randall gets injured. And I don't know where you go from here because even if you want to get off of Cat's contract, I feel like there was a better deal out there than getting stuck with Randall's money. Because Randall's money it's a little bit more flexible. It's what, 40 mil a year? Something like that. And he only has 2 years left.
I don't know how much he's getting paid. I think the last year's a player option. Okay.
I mean, I see him being valuable to a team that's
only making 20 mil.
Really?
Randall?
No, he's making more than that. Hold on.
Okay. I was like, that could not be right.
I mean, if you look at Randall's career, his best role is being the number 1 option on a bad team.
Yeah.
The Knicks before they got Brunson. I mean, being the number 1 option on a team that doesn't have a high ceiling. I don't trust him come playoff time. He is one of the worst playoff performers in any sport ever.
He's the worst wing 3-point shooter in the NBA, or at least he was last season.
Yeah.
And
I don't like his shot selection. I want the ball in Ant's hands. I don't like how he plays off Ant. I just didn't like. I was repulsed.
He was 5 for 10, and watching the game, I thought he was 1 for 15.
5 for 15. Yeah.
It was just really ugly from a T-Wolves perspective. Look, I think this is a team that's gonna play 8 people deep. I don't think that you can trust a guy like Joe Ingles to come off the bench. I just don't. You know what I mean? So I think that you
I
get
forgot
Nikhil
that.
Alexander Walker coming off.
I
think
think
you
Joe-
have
I
Naz
think
Reid.
Joe
you have
Ingles-
Dante DiVincenzo, and then you just leave it.
I think
with
Joe
your
Ingles.
starters.
I think Joe Ingles plays 6 minutes a half, and I think that he hits 2 threes a game. I think that's what you get from him. I think he does play rotational minutes.
I think offensively they did spread it out more. They did. Okay, I kind of forgot the Joe Ingles move because they did need a forward who can hit a three consistently. I mean, another question is: getting this much better offensively really worth getting this much
better defensively? Yeah, worse defensively. I don't think they
yeah.
got better offensively. I think they got worse in both
I just think they got worse all around.
I think they became a better shooting team. That's what I should say.
Okay.
I just don't understand why you would lose your franchise player when you were on when you were on the precipice of going to the finals. It was the wrong time to make their move.
And if anyone who watched that series knows that it wasn't really a 5-game series. That was really a 6 or 7-game series.
You guys led for like 14 minutes combined in every game.
Yeah. Except for one blowout. I mean,
yeah.
And they blew us out once. I mean, the rest of those games were close.
Yeah, you guys led for like
and they were missing their head coach.
I mean, he was there.
Correct.
He was there.
I forgot about that, but he wasn't the on-the-court coach, I guess.
Yeah. Stationary.
Yeah, so I mean, if we're going to talk about some teams that we're buying and selling stock in, I would seriously consider. I think that the T-Wolves will be a playoff team, but I seriously consider them to be worse than they were last year, and I could see them falling into that 6-7 category.
I could too. Yeah. So let's fill out the third echelon, right? And that is kind of like the teams that will be in the playoffs. I have Lakers, Grizzlies, Suns, Clippers.
No,
really?
No, I can't. I cannot sit here. Dude, if they're healthy,
you're right. It's all about if they're healthy. Right? I mean, so I guess I told you that you can't put a certain team in because of an if. So I guess we won't put them in because them being an if they're healthy is just such a big part. So I guess that we can leave them out of this.
I don't think Kawhi even plays this year. Like, I think you see him in maybe 20 games.
And I don't know if y'all watched the game. It was against
Phoenix.
I don't remember who they played.
They played Phoenix.
They went to overtime against Phoenix without Kawhi.
Harden was
Kawhi.
Harden's
going to be good. Harden's going to be a good player.
Be good. It's just I don't like that. What are they trying to accomplish? I mean, they're a big enough market that they don't have to force to be a playoff team because they're not going to win the championship. I mean, they traded all that for PG and literally got a Western Conference Finals appearance out of it, where they won. They lost 4-1 against the Warriors. Oh no. Yeah. Oh, Six Stadium. Made KD miss back-to-back free throws. That was rather crazy.
I think that we look at those teams being in the middle range. I don't know if you guys want to stop and talk about each of those teams. I think the Grizzlies are a huge if. I think the Lakers are a huge if. I think that
a statement on the Lakers really quickly though. I think if Anthony Davis is healthy, there's a conversation that he's a first-team All-NBA type of guy this year. I think he is the best player on this team.
Alex, I'm obsessed with the tree you're barking up.
Yeah,
I don't even know how you could. I don't even know how you could possibly disagree with that take.
He looked fantastic the other night. He looked really.
You know
good.
why he looked fantastic?
JJ Redick's offense really opened him up to be on the perimeter and play off of that.
Because he played the 4. Oh
yeah,
my God, he finally did it.
I know.
Jesus Christ, hallelujah. Because once they get, I want them to look at Walker Kessler. I want them to look at Jared Allen. And I want them to get a rebounding center, put him next to AD, and defensively, AD is not a rim protector. He is a roamer. He is one of the 3 greatest roamers that a game of basketball has ever seen. We've been watching this since 2012 when he was at Kentucky, or 2011, whatever the year was.
Yep.
The Lakers won a championship with him playing the 4, not playing the 5. He is a better offensive player playing the 5, but defensively, him and Giannis are the 2 best defenders, in my opinion, in the league when they're playing their correct positions.
I agree. I am going to throw, before we get into our final ranking and then go into buy and sell, I'm going to throw 3 teams at you, and I want you to individually, George, you go first, Alex, you go second.
Okay.
Tell me that between these three teams, where what order they'll end up in. 1, 2,
Okay.
3.
Mm-hmm.
Kings, Warriors, Pelicans.
Okay. Pelicans 1, Warriors 2, Kings 3. I'm very low on the Kings. I'm very low on the
Really?
Kings. I
Why?
hate the DeMar addition. That was not what they needed. I know I already said this about the Mavs, but they needed a Herb Jones or a Trey Murphy.
Yeah.
I mean, you need as much defensive cover around Sabonis. Sabonis really wasn't that bad of a defender, but he is still not a plus. I mean, Keegan Murray is going to take that jump, and his growth is now stunted by the fact that DeMar is now taking some of his minutes and roles offensively. I mean, gave up on I understand why they gave up on Davion Mitchell, but really,
Yep. I don't love that either.
Yeah,
I like Davion Mitchell a lot, and I think he'd be a great 8th or 9th guy. I mean, I just didn't like the offseason.
I don't know. I don't hate the move for DeMar. I don't think it makes them that much better. I would agree with you on that. I think Keon Ellis looks good.
Yeah.
I think he's going to take a jump. They have some pieces. Obviously, Fox when he's healthy is good. Herter when he's healthy is good. And Monk when he's healthy is good. For that reason, I'm going to stick with the Pels at 1 as well out of those 3. I think that with a healthy team, they are really, really solid. I think B.I. looked really good the other night.
They did lose DeJounte Murray.
They did lose DeJounte Murray, which is a big loss for them. But obviously, when Zion Williamson is healthy, this team is dangerous, and that's really what it comes down to. I have the Kings at 2.
They need better center play, though.
I agree. I have the Kings at 2. I think the Warriors come in at 3rd. I think it's really hard to bet against Steph Curry, but I just don't like the supporting cast that he has on this team right now. His second best player is who? Andrew Wiggins?
Kuminga, bro. I'm telling you.
But Jonathan, he's going to demand a $100 million contract.
He's going to get it. He's going to get it.
He shouldn't, though. He shouldn't. I don't think he should get that much money.
I think we're ready to see the new age of the Warriors, and
they have no option.
They'll probably be the 7th seed, and they'll be a very dangerous 7th seed with Curry doing his thing, Kuminga averaging 20 to 22 a game, Pod putting up 16, 4 and 4, Trace and what's his name?
Trace Jackson Davis.
Yeah,
Trace Jackson Davis.
I hate him. I still hate Trace Jackson Davis from college. I never got over it. I hated watching him at Indiana. I hate watching him play in the Warriors.
I think he is an improved version of Kevon Looney.
I mean, they have DeAnthony Melton playing consistent role player minutes.
I like DeAnthony Melton.
I don't see it, dude. I don't see it. I think you can't bank on Steph being a 30-point per game scorer for much longer.
I don't think they're going to ask him to do
Buddy
that.
Hield is going to take a ton of shots.
Yeah, he is.
I don't love Buddy Hield, and that's obviously because his college days.
Yeah, now we're getting into deep-seated beef here.
I mean, I think that their core is fine, right? But it's not good enough to be a top 5 team.
I think they're a playing team. They're a playing team, in my opinion. They're a 9, 10, 11. And another team that I would throw into that category is, what do you think the Spurs do this year? What do you think the Rockets do this year? Because now you have a bunch. I think that the
Rockets have an issue.
Obviously the bottom.
Yeah,
they're the low. But the Spurs have maybe the greatest freak athlete we've ever seen in the NBA, and now you give him one of the best passing guards in NBA history. You know what I mean? Last year, you had.
What else do they have?
Doesn't matter.
Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson looks better.
No, but it does matter if they're going to be. If their ceiling is being a play-in team, then they'll be a play-in team, right? But in order
they'll be 11 or 12 seed. They're not going to.
Here's the problem.
Rockets.
Here's the problem. If they have nothing surrounding those guys right now, right? And I say nothing, but obviously they have Keldon Johnson and they have
Harrison Barnes. You have Stephon Castle,
Barnes, right?
You have decent role pieces.
But here's the problem: their team is completely dependent on Chris Paul, who was not healthy last year and is 38 years old. So they can't build around this core at all. They have 1 year to do something with this team. Trey Jones is fine. Trey Jones is not Chris Paul when it comes to passing.
Yeah, I agree.
He's second in the last since coming into the NBA in assist to turnover ratio.
I just say whenever the Spurs are on TV, I am watching them.
I agree. Yeah, they're going to be fun.
Watching
they're
them getting
playing
clapped by the Mavs tonight, 7:30 Eastern.
Are they playing the Mavs tonight? I thought the Mavs were playing.
Yeah, man, they play
They're
Mavs tonight.
Oh, perfect. That's a good game.
I think I got the timing wrong though. It's
7:30 TNT.
Yeah.
7:30.
Yeah.
And
7
Thunder
o'clock,
Nuggets. Thunder
Wizards,
Nuggets
Celtics.
is tonight.
Yeah, Thunder Nuggets is the game I'll be watching, but Wizards Celtics is on, just in case anybody was.
Wizards Celtics is on. I am going.
Are you really?
I am leaving when we're done with this episode.
No way. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I bought a ticket.
Yeah,
I'm going by myself. It's gonna be super sad.
No, it's gonna be lit.
It's gonna be lit.
Yeah, so I think in this realm, just because these teams are so good, you lose the Rockets. I don't think that they're a play-in team this year. I think they have to get off Fred VanVleet, in my opinion. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that by the offseason.
They have so much talent, though.
I know.
You just don't know, right? Like
Don't
we
you
just
hate it
don't
when
know.
that's the problem?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But like none of the talent is like an upper echelon. Like they're all like 28,
Hopeful.
30
Yeah, they're all hopefuls,
top
yeah.
players in the NBA. You know what I
Ooh.
mean? Like they blew an
I
18-point lead. They're young. You said you had a Jabari Smith Jr. take, right? You want to do that?
I wrote that on my notepad.
Okay.
One name. I watched Jabari Smith, and I think this actually. I hate when people do this, but I'm going to do this when they do one play and they say that's the whole player. But he blocked. Who did they play? They played. Who did they play last night?
Hornets.
He blocked Nick Richards. Nick Richards power dribbled and dunked all over him. Jabari Smith needs to add weight. He's been needing to this whole time. I don't think he has improved since he's a rookie, besides basketball IQ and fit and being a little bit more relaxed. He's the perfect piece next to Şengün. They need to develop him more. You need to decide between Tari Eason, Cam Whitmore, and they have a sore.
You know who you need to get rid of? You know who you need to get rid of if you're the Rockets? Dylan Brooks is fucking useless on this team.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I would get
Green.
rid of Dylan Brooks. You think Jalen?
Why would you get rid of Jalen Green?
They just
Jalen Green. Look at who he popped off against.
He just had
Bum,
28.
bum. He just got paid, but if you look at that contract, it is so flexible after this year. After this year, it's 1 year and a player option. With the player option, there's some clause of not half of it's like not guaranteed if it's. It was something that I read.
It looks like a trade chip for a lot of people.
It looks like a trade chip for a big piece, and they were involved in the Mikal Bridges move. I'm glad that they didn't do that.
I'd actually like to see him leave. I'd like to see him on a new team.
See Jalen Green?
Yeah, I'd like to see him somewhere else.
Yeah.
To see if he can actually play in a different system.
I'd like to see if he can do it night in, night out against good teams.
Yeah.
That's
agreed.
I mean, I love the Reed Shepherd pick. I mean, they have been consistently getting good draft picks. Cam Whitmore at number 20.
Yep. That's great value.
I love paying Şengün. But it is also asking, is he going to take another step? Is he not just going to be 20, 10, and 4? Is he going to be 24, 11, and 5?
Yeah.
Or 6? I mean, it's just a lot of questions, a lot of uncertainty, which y'all said.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, they're an interesting team. I think Portland is obviously the worst team here. I think the question with Portland is who goes. You know what I mean? Do they stay on Ayton this year? Do they stay on Anthony Simons? Like, what is the direction? Do they stay on Jeremy Grant? You know what I mean? Like, where do these pieces go to a championship contender who could use them?
I thought the Mavs should have gone after Jeremy Grant.
I don't hate that. I think a lot of teams should be looking at Anthony Simons and being like, that is a guy that we want on our team.
He's Malik Monk. Spark plug off the bench.
Yep.
He's got some Jordan Clarkson.
An easy 10 to 15 off the bench for a winning caliber team, in my opinion, leading your second unit.
Efficient. He has improved a lot since being a rookie.
Agreed.
I like Shaden and Scoot together. I like that backcourt.
Scoot's definitely the future of this team, I guess. So, like, where do you go from here?
Yeah.
Denny Advia could be moved again. You know
that
what I
was
mean?
a great move. I thought that was a great move.
I agree.
for them.
I agree. I thought they got him for nothing from the Wizards. I didn't really understand that move when it happened, but
He was
this
great.
team is
He was
not,
one of the bright spots for the Wizards last year too.
Yeah, this
Him
team
and
is not.
Bilal Koulibaly. Two bright spots.
This team is not super interesting. All right. So let's run through what we have here. I think we both have Thunder, Nuggets at 1 and 2 interchangeably.
Mhm.
3 and 4, we're going Mavs, T-Wolves with the potential to have the Suns or the Lakers flip in there. Tier 3, now you're talking about the Pelicans, the Kings, the Grizzlies. Jesus, this conference is so loaded. So that's probably tier 3. And then tier 4, you have the Spurs, the Rockets, the Jazz, the Clippers, who I think you could even potentially put in tier 3, and then tier 5, the Trailblazers going into this upcoming season.
Yeah.
Does that sound right, Jack?
Yeah.
And then
I agree.
Kings in tier 3 or 4. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, 3 or 4. They're somewhere in there. They're like in the rotational there.
Yeah.
All right. So before we let you go, that is our NBA preview. But as per usual, we do have an NFL slate of games coming up this weekend. And as much as we would love to extend this show to 2 nights a week,
we're gonna do buy sell.
Oh yeah, you want to do buy sell? I like buy sell a lot. Okay,
Yeah, real quick. Let's do a real quick buy sell.
All right, so we're going to pick one team from each conference that we are buying stock in and one team from each conference that we are selling stock in. The catch is that none of us can do the same teams as we go around, so have a couple loaded up. Jack, we'll start with you in the Eastern Conference. What is one team that you are buying on?
I am buying stock in the Detroit Pistons. It's incredibly low.
Pick.
It's very low. I'm going to buy stock in it.
Okay. George, give me a team that you are buying stock in the Eastern Conference.
I'm buying stock in the Indiana Pacers. I think they had a very underrated offseason. I liked bringing in James Wiseman. I think there's a lot more security.
That move. Even though he's out for the year, potentially, with a non-contact injury.
Okay, that flew under my radar, but, hope he gets better. I think a full summer with Pascal and Halliburton and Mathurin getting better, because he's primed to take that jump. I'm telling you, he is a baller. And Nemhard, Naismith. I mean, they got some good pieces, and they got obviously a friend of the show in Rick Carlisle.
Of course, friend of the show.
Obviously.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that take either. A team that we talked a lot about, I'm going to be buying stock in the Orlando Magic for this upcoming year. I think that their stock price is high right now. I think a lot of people are buying in, but I'm going to be one of those people. And here we go. We're going to go back around now. I'm going to start here with who I am selling stock in. It's going to be the Chicago Bulls. I don't think this team is going to have the same core. I see them winning.
Objectively the right pick.
Yeah, I don't see them winning more than 40 games at the maximum. I think Levine will be off this team by the deadline, and I think that Vooch will also be off this team by the deadline. George, what do you got for a team that you're selling stock in the Eastern Conference right now?
Miami Heat.
Miami Heat.
I could not be quicker. I hate that because I love Bam Adebayo. He is one of my 5 favorite players in basketball. But I don't like Jimmy's commitment. I don't like that we can't get a healthy Terry Rozier or Tyler Hero. And I really don't like the flexibility this team has if somebody goes down.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jack.
When somebody goes down.
Round us out here with a team.
My team that I'm selling in, their value is not necessarily high. It's actually not high at all. But I like every single player on their roster, but I think it's in their best interest to sell. I am selling the Brooklyn Nets.
Okay. Yeah, they'll be in the lower tier.
Yeah.
Huge Derek Whitehead fan.
Yeah, love Derek Whitehead.
Podcast full of them. We all are.
We're all big on it. 3 men. Love Derek Whitehead.
Who's got 6 thumbs and love Derek Whitehead? We do.
Guys. All right, let's go over to the Western Conference. Jack, we're going to come back around to you. What is one team here that you are buying stock in coming up in this 2024-25 season?
I think that Ja will stay healthy. I am buying in the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah, it's relatively medium stock, I would say. They do have to keep him healthy for the entirety of the season to be
especially
good.
with the development of G.G. Jackson. Adding a new layer to a Grizzlies team that is already pretty fundamentally solid before. I think that they could be sneaky good. Desmond Bane.
Top 5 shooting guard in the NBA. George.
Probably true.
Maybe.
Could be true.
Give me a team that you are buying stock in from the Western Conference.
I have turned a leaf. I'm not going to monologue, but I'm going to do a little monologue. I hated the Lakers my whole life.
Ah, you bastard.
But God damn. I love what JJ Redick is doing. And I think they're going to make the right move this year. They're always involved at the deadline. They're going to make the right move and get a big man to put next to AD to have that flexibility. Something better than Jackson Hayes, because don't love him. I'm going to buy stock in them.
Yeah, it's the right pick. That's the pick that I was going to have as well. I think they're a bona fide playoff team this year.
Okay.
I could go relatively anywhere at the moment. I think I'm going to buy stock in the Phoenix Suns. Their stock is decently low. I think that they look better. Like, I think that they will have a better season under Coach Mike Budenholzer, and I'm interested to see how this season goes. For a team that I'm selling stock in the Western Conference, it's going to be the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think their stock is really high right now. I think a lot of teams really look at them as an upper echelon team, and I think that they got worse. So I think that they will be a playoff team, a bona fide playoff team, but I don't see them going back to the Western Conference Finals this year. George,
I like that pick. It was between that and the Sacramento Kings for me.
Okay.
I have loved lighting the beam for the last couple of years, but man, I don't like the DeMar move. I don't like what that does for what their core was going to be. What does the next 3 years look like? That is a lot of money tied up in one guy who's about to be 37 at the end of his contract, around that age. And what does that do for their fast-paced identity? Because DeMar likes playing half court, and he used to be able to play in the full court setting, but he's not 23 years old anymore.
Yeah,
it's
true. All right, Jack, round us out. One team that you're selling stock in.
I've got a bit of a shocking one. I don't think that there's any way that this team stays healthy all year. I'm selling the New Orleans Pelicans.
All right. I don't think that's shocking at all. I think that they will be a 7 to 8 seed as well.
I thought you were going to say
they may be lower. I think they may be lower than that.
Yeah, potentially. That another team that's so health dependent that it's hard to bet with or against. But yeah, I think that wraps up our NBA preview. We've been rambling for about an hour and 20 minutes, which has been super fun.
Yeah.
But we do have to get some NFL picks in before we end this show up, and Jack can head over to, what is it, the Barclays Center? What is the
no, it is the Capital One Arena.
Oh, right. My bad. Sorry that I didn't
Barclays
know that
is
to
Brooklyn.
the six Wizards fans that actually exist out there.
None of whom are listening.
Yeah. But that being said, thank you guys for joining us for our NBA preview. And now we'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming of, doing our NFL stuff. So we obviously have week, 7, 8 coming up this weekend?
It's week 8 this week. Yeah.
Crazy how the time has flown. I will be on my couch or on my bed. I don't own a couch, watching Red Zone potentially for 8 hours this weekend. Super excited for that. But yeah, we're going to do the regular thing. Jack has some picks. I have some picks. And then we got a game of the week and a not game of the week. George is joining along with us for this. So let's just run through them. Jack, give me your first game for this upcoming week.
First game seems like it is a lock to take whoever is playing the Cleveland Browns. This week it's the Ravens. Their spread is -8.5, and I'm taking it.
Okay. I don't hate that pick at all. I think the Browns look horrible. Is Jameis Winston playing is my question, and if not, why not? Because I would love to see him get in there.
They might win if Jameis Winston's on the field. So
Jameis is so hard to dislike.
Nick Chubb is back. Nick Chubb is back and actually looked better than I thought he would last week.
I agree. For a guy that had his entire leg ripped off his body, he looked pretty good.
Yeah.
I will give you my first pick here for the upcoming slate. I have the Packers to cover -3.5 over the Jags. The Jags coming off a huge win over the New England Patriots in London. Really just a barn burner at 9:30 in the morning. I'm sure everybody woke up to watch that game.
I unfortunately did.
That sucks.
Yeah,
Sorry.
It did.
Drake May looks pretty good though, so we're happy about that over here, but the Jags are kind of in shambles. And although Tank Bixby has taken over the backfield and looked pretty good, I think that this,
I don't think he does it again this week.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that this that this Packers team is just it's too good for them, and they will take care of business.
My first, just because I have the same as both of what y'all just said.
Okay.
Those are two of mine. I'll give you my only one that was different. Well, actually, I think somebody also had this, but the Bills.
You can take it. You can
-3.
take the same leg as us.
Oh, well, I'm gonna double down first with the Ravens. I don't hate the Browns. I hate how they're playing. I feel like we're reversing in time and going back to the brown paper bag era of Browns football, and we need to be progressing. And the ball is not moving. Defensively, they cannot stop a rock. So
why don't you just continue on and make the second pick?
Second pick, the Bills -3. I like. Let me double check who they're playing. They are playing. They're playing
the Seahawks.
I love Geno Smith. I do think the Bills' defense has been overperforming, which isn't saying much, but I think losing Matt Milano for such a long time really should be hurting them more than it has been. And I think the Bills are just on fire offensively with Amari Cooper now in the helm, and Keon Coleman being solid, and Shakir doing his thing, and Cook cooking. I don't see them not winning by 20 plus, honestly. I don't know if that's like a crazy take. But.
All right. I'm going to make my second pick. I got Chiefs -9.5 against the Raiders. Not much more needs to be said. We can just roll right by it. Yeah. I don't want to talk about either of those teams.
Fair enough. My second pick, and I think George's third pick, I have Bills -3 over the Seahawks. I think that they win this game outright. I think that these are two of the most inconsistent teams in the NFL, but that being said, I think the Bills will win here and establish themselves as the top of the AFC East once again.
And my third was the Packers as well. I think Nick, Alex, you took that. Love that pick, and I love the way the Packers are playing right
now. My third pick is Texans -5. They are playing the Indianapolis Colts, who have looked horrible. Anthony Richardson can't seem to figure it out. So, yeah, I think they win by 5.
Okay. And my final pick here, I have the Bengals -3 over the Eagles. I think the Eagles have looked really bad. And I think that the Bengals are trending upwards, though. And I think that their offense has been explosive enough to really, really dismantle this Philadelphia secondary.
The secondary and the linebacking core for Philadelphia right now is atrocious.
It's just been bad.
And Joey Buckets has been Joey Buckets.
Yeah. So I think they win this game outright.
Is he the second greatest Joey of all time?
Who's the first?
Montana.
Chestnut. Oh.
Yeah, Chestnut, Montana.
Namath.
Burrow, Namath.
I mean,
Joe from Impractical Jokers.
Top 10 Joes of all time.
Let's see if we can name all 10 of them. Hold on. Let's see if we can name all 10 of them. Biden's probably on there.
I'm not seeing Biden.
Does Stalin count as a Joe?
Oh, that might count.
They have Joe Pesci.
Are we counting Giuseppe's on here too?
It could be. These are DiMaggio's on here.
Oh yeah.
All right, Biden's on this one. I have Biden, Stalin, Montana, Namath, Joey Badass, DiMaggio, Votto, Joe Jonas, Joey Ramone, Joey Fatone.
Ooh. All right, bad list. Let's move on from this.
All right. But yeah,
it's not game of the week time.
Is it already? Damn.
Yeah, it's not game of the week.
Let's talk about it.
Again, another AFC West Bowl. They have been on here for 6 of the 8 weeks. They are an absolute
the
juggernaut.
Games are so bad.
An absolute juggernaut for not game of the week.
They're so bad, dude.
I am going to take the Broncos over the Panthers, even though I literally could care less.
Yeah, I'm also taking the Broncos over the Panthers. This game means absolutely nothing to me. I won't watch this game.
Yeah, same.
Broncos over Panthers. All right. I'm glad we're all at a consensus there. Let's move on to game of the week. This is a very mid game of the week, in my opinion.
I actually like this game of the week a lot.
Really? Okay.
I would like to see the Cowboys get blown out on national television in the Sunday night game.
Getting mollywopped would be pretty funny, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
I think the Niners win in spectacular fashion.
I think the Niners win as well.
Now, I could sit here and be a very proud fan, but that would mean I would have a team to be proud of. And
stick with your gut.
All I got is a bag of shitless dicks. And God damn it, bro, I can't take any more of this. I'm like this close to crashing out watching Sunday football.
Every single time they're losing, I text George. I'm like, are y'all still the boys?
It's that text every time.
You just gotta let
looked
them
up
know.
Them boys in my phone. Half of them would be me, my dad, and my brother be like, we're them boys. The other half would be, are you still them boys?
Are you still them boys?
I think the 49ers are going to beat us by at least 2 scores. But for my fantasy team, I hope CeeDee Lamb puts up 20-plus points.
Yeah, I hope so, too.
Yeah,
I hope so, too.
Thanks.
Yeah. I think that's all we got for this episode. George, thank you so much, as always, for coming on.
Yeah,
thank you, boys, for having me.
That was fun.
Certainly. And we will be back next week with more content. But until then, this has been The Corner Office, and I'm Jack Byrne.
I'm Alex Penders.
And I'm G-Money.
G-Mo.
Corner 3. George, show us that. Corner 3.
Hey.
Corner 3.
Hey. Hey.